Alright guys, welcome to the White Town Footy League show. It's your boy, Jamal. No, actually, this one is the Footy League review show. And we'll just jump straight right into it so we don't waste any time. I'll be right straight into it. Just think I just did talk like this. So, everything started with the early kickoff, which was Silver Titans versus Black Ops. Shout out to Silver because they've come a long way. Clearly, the transfers have actually been working because there's been improvement. Back-to-back match days with points on the board, 2 clean sheets, which had never happened before. So everything seems to be clicking into gear with Silver. I mean, they are playing well. They are not conceding. I think the attack has let them down a little bit in the last 2 match days, but I feel like maybe that will come. So the attackers, the Rashfords of this world, the Amandos, the Donnies, you guys need to take a hard look in the mirror and do better for the team because everybody's starting to pull their weight and you guys can do a little better. So it started with the early kickoff, Silver versus Black, intensity. Obviously, the guest that came on the preview show last week said Black wouldn't want to lose, and it showed in the match. They really wanted it. The intensity was there from kickoff, but Silver too also are desperate to show that they didn't just come this season to complete numbers. So it was an intense match, very physical, a lot of tackles flying in the midfield. Interesting game. It was very balanced, very interesting tactically. I feel that the Black coach made a few tactical blunders, which at the beginning of the season you say is uncharacteristic, but they've started to pile on in the last couple of match days. The midfield they put out didn't seem balanced. It felt like something was missing. It felt like the defensive side of the midfield and the attacking side wasn't connected. So maybe they needed something or someone to connect both sides of midfield. The way I see it is that Black has midfielders that are destroyers and all those things, people like Benga and stuff, and midfielders that are more creative and like to do the technical sweet part of midfield, so to speak, like Val, Olu. But there's few of the midfielders that marry both sides, what you call your box-to-box, that can give you the technical side of it but also impose themselves on a game, like Yusuf, like Samson, that we haven't seen in midfield at all. So I feel like the coach isn't utilizing, or the Black coach isn't utilizing the strengths of those midfielders enough to bring everything together. Aside that, it was a really good game. Both defenses were locked in. I think this was the first or second game that Dandy has played. I think the first game so he was a good showing for him. It was really interesting. Wiz is solid as always. There was a little bit of drama in the match. ODT and Folu. Folu needs to calm down because he's easily rattled, and if the captain of your team is not keeping a level head, it may rub off on the team and discipline and keeping their heads too. And also you just make yourself a target. If everybody knows, just rattle this their skippo small, you don't collect yellow card, you don't collect red card, you're letting your team down. So I mean, you can calm down, you can do better. Lemon had a decent game, a couple of good decent saves, and also the second goalkeeper for Black, he always just seems to come in, do a job, and just keep it pushing. So yeah, that was it basically. Not so much happened, wasn't that eventful, and then an interesting goalless draw. As Shigudu say, they say Black is attacking draw soup, so maybe Silver and defensive draw soup. So attacking draw soup versus defensive draw soup to give you a draw. 0-0 apparently. So that answers the age-old question. The next game was Green Mambas versus Yellow Hawks. There was a lot of excitement with the Green Mambas signing with Roberto, coming into the team for the second half of the season. Sinclair, which we haven't seen much of the second half of the season. So, with coupled with the squad they already had, feel like maybe they're underperforming relative to their squad. But it was also an interesting match. It was as interesting a one-all draw as you could get. Everything, it had everything. Both teams scored a lot of good football. Shout out to Chuka, he played a good match. Ooh, 2 fantastic goals, bruv. Insane goals, insane tackles. In fact, so the 2 goal scorers, but we'll leave that one for later, made it into my my 11 of the week, just based on the sheer, I don't know what to call it, the sheer impudence of their goals. It was a mad thing. So yeah, shout out to them. It was a good match. Standout players in the match, I think Yellow's defense really did well. Green's defense did what you expect, but it was really just moments of brilliance for the 2 goals. So you couldn't really say much about that. Yeah, so basically that was it. Yeah, I don't think there isn't much else to say about the game here. Then, what we've all been waiting for, the match of the week, late kickoff. Let me paint you a picture. As usual, the batallion, the blue batallion.
Not 1, not 2, but 1,000.
Were on the sidelines, warming up, doing their thing, getting ready to go to take the pitch, to go to war, And then Red, as usual, never having enough players. People were trickling in, 4 players, 5 players, 6 players. They are looking at the gates. The Red squad, you can see them G3 wondering who will go play complete, who will go play short one. This was towards the end of the green and yellow match. Now, it's kickoff, still delaying, hoping somebody will pull through, but nobody came, and the match had to start. So it was 10-man Red versus 11-man Blue. So basically 9 outfield players played with a handicap. It was an interesting match because people say that it's easier sometimes to play against. It's harder sometimes to play against a team that is 1 man down, which in some sense it is, because when a team goes 1 man down, one of 2 things can happen. Is either, if the team isn't playing as a unit and they don't know locking, is either gaps start to show other people, because some people are not in sync with what the team is trying to do. Then others that are in sync try to overcompensate. The gaps show, the gaps increase, mistakes happen, goals lead to goals, and it becomes a disaster. But every so often, whether it's a handicap match like this one or even with red cards, teams lock in, sync, and play in unison. And that is actually hard to beat. Hats off to Red for what they did, because it wasn't easy to pull off that type of performance. But people will say 9-man Red beats 1,000-man Blue, which is an exaggeration and it's funny, but that's essentially what it was, because Blue used all the resources at their disposal. I think they basically subbed on everybody that could be, so basically played 2-11 minimum, and so fresher legs and all those things, and Red refused to cave. The match was as you'd expect, or not as you'd expect. Well, basically what Red set out to do in the match was play a normal formation, but put a lot of the of course everybody will have to work harder when one person is playing less, but a lot of stress was on the attackers, because Red set up in a 4-3-2, so the missing man was up front, so the 2 attackers had to overcompensate and really work their socks off. But then also the midfielders still had to also do a lot to make sure that they were still making sure that attack wasn't isolated and they were still giving them chances, making them still involved in the game. And then the defense just had to lock in, because you don't want to be one man down and go down you go. That was not a good look. Luckily, early in the first half, from a corner and stuff, or early mid first half, they take the corner. Collins nods it in, fantastic, to win, because of playing less, the Red weren't committing that many men into the box for like set pieces and stuff. So fantastic work to win the ball and score. And from that moment on, Blue basically lost their head. It was fun to watch, and it was interesting to see like Red deploying very good game management, which Blue, because they were losing their head, couldn't just calm down and realize, see, we're one man ahead, and like if we crank up the pressure and play methodically, they may eventually crack. But as the case may be, they didn't crack. They all had a fantastic game. Shout out to the whole back line. Shout out to Jerry especially. I mean, Fat is not an easy attacker to live with. I think he was the only person they didn't sub in the match. He basically played the full 90 minutes. And to try or to mark the whole or most of the match, because by the time Philip went to now play the left back, is not an easy feat. So shout out to them. Shout out to Paul, because they brought different wingers. He was just marking all of them. So it was an interesting experience too, because like even myself, I was like, wow, more this thing, it don't go day easy, like but then I mean, it's always good to win. It's always good to, keep momentum going, onwards and upwards. Phoenix is rising. Get the word out. You may not have believed before, but I'm sure we're starting to make believers of everybody. So what else? To just keep it brief, I'll just go over my 11 of the match day. So I'll start up front and then go backwards. So for the forward, so I'm using the 4-3-3 in my formation. For the forward positions, it has to be Aguero and Collins, because obviously, like, it's two players that had to cover for 3 positions, so that's impressive in itself. So the fact that they did that and were still productive offensively, a lot of dangerous moments, and even still scored as a pairing, you have to take a spot in my 11. This one is hard to leave out, but like the third forward spot has to go to Aji. JB was on fire against Black for Silver Titans. He almost took Benga's life. When he did that thing, I saw my mom almost on the floor. When I experienced, Benga is not the experience he has in football and in this life to not be disgraced there. But alas, it was still disgraced. So that was a mad portion of play. And another one that people are not even talking about, so he did something similar to Dara, where the ball was coming, Dara was trying to rush and like attack him, and then he just like chipped him and then kept moving. So shout out to him. He played a really good game. Honorable mention to Fati, because the third, of course, like, is non-negotiable for the first 2 positions in my forward line, but like the third one, it was between Aji and Fati, and I'll just give it to Aji because like Fati is going to be a victim of his own good play here, because like he played well, but like we see him play well most weeks, so like there's nothing novel about the performance. But shout out to Aji. So up front, Aguero, Collins, and JB. In midfield, I mean, you just have to give him his flowers. He's been balling out of his guy. I was surprised the guest on the show last week didn't add him to his 11, because he's been playing ridiculous football. Like he's rolling back the years. Shout out to Uncle Phil. Like, mad performance. He was everywhere. Played forward, played back, played midfield, played everywhere. Locked in performance. Like he really killed it. The other 2 midfield spots, these people earned their position here because they played in midfield, but most importantly because of the type of goals they scored, the audacity, the impudence, the je ne sais quoi, as the French will say it. It was just lovely to watch. Corey's goal, and especially Baggio for Green, the last bar that the ball hit. Crazy. So in midfield, Baggio for the goal and the performance as well, and Korea as well, because in that match he seemed to be playing more like in midfield, and I think maybe Yellow were doing like that false 9 thing they do sometimes, because CJ felt more advanced than him. So my midfield 3, Philip, Baggio and Corey. Then in defense, left back Jerry, because like he played a really good game against Fatih. Fatih had a good game, and Jerry also had a good game competing against him. So it was a really interesting tussle. But sometimes he got the better of Fatih. There was sometimes obviously Fatih got the better of him. But on the balance, I think he was the best left back on the field on that match day. On the match day 7 at pivot. In CB, I'll go with Bizu because he balled out. Like, I think this was his first appearance for Red Phoenix, and I played CB with him in that match. But what I liked about his impact in the game is that the communication, like, he has like a calming influence on the game. So communicating, discussing, positioning, marshalling the defense. So like he did a really good job at CB. Here again, the second CB I'll go with is Dandy. Now, honorable mention to Rizzi, because like Silva's defense is really impressing me. Like, from a team that was conceding the highest amount of goals to back-to-back clean sheets, they're obviously doing something right. But Rizzi, just like Fatih, is a victim of his own excellent performance. So I think this was Dandy's first game, so it was impressive to see him play and see what he was doing. Our right back, many people balled out our right back, to be honest. The yellow right back played well. Paul played well, obviously. Shut down a lot of blue wingers. They just kept spamming new wingers and he was just locking all of them up. So shout out to him. But I'll give my right back of the match day to and also Paul may even just be a victim of how well his team played, because I don't want Jamal's match day 11 to be basically the whole Red Phoenix squad. So like I'm just trying to, like, temper choices, balance it out. So also another person that played really well was Samson. As I said, I don't understand the Blacks coach obsession with playing him in the midfield, because like there's only 2 people in Blacks midfield that give that marriage of technique and physicality to be able to impose the engine, to be able to impose yourself on the midfield, and it's just Yusuf and Samson. In the match against Silva, he didn't even start Yusuf, brought him on very late, brought in Uche second half, which maybe was a good idea for tired legs and all those things, but not starting Yusuf was an odd one to me. And then Samson has just played in defense almost the whole season, so that's also a weird kick. So, but like my right back for my 11 is Samson. So my back line is right back Samson, Bizu center back, Dandy, CB, Jerry left back, and then goalkeeper. I mean, it's obvious, the man, the myth, the legend, the goalkeeper, the clean sheet magnet, Favor. Honorable mention to Lemo, and it was, all jokes aside, it was between Lemo and Favor for this match day. But why I went with Favor was that there was one-on-one that, like, I don't even know how the ball managed to find Fatih, but like it was one-on-one with Favor. In my mind, I was like, who left this guy free like this? As he scored, as he shot it and Favor just blocked it. I was really, the way I rushed to clear that ball, that ball no even, it was in the air. I just used my knee to hook it away, because like it's not me that's going to give Fatih 2 chances one-on-one with the goalkeeper. So shout just for that save alone, and of course his other saves and all around solid performance, my goalkeeper of the match day is Favor. So match day 11, Favor in goal, Samson right back, Bizu center back, Dandy CB number 2, left back Jerry, Uncle Phil in central midfield, Badger, accompanied by Baggio and Corey. Up front, Aguero, Collins, JB. So honorable mentions to all the other people that balled out. see you on the preview show for match day 8. Peace.